Hey guys, it's Ann. I am here today on a Friday. I'm in the office and I'm really excited about being back in. Anastasia is here too. We are going to talk about some of our clients who are reopening, so we're really excited about that. It's episode 35, which is also a really exciting time for us. It's 7 weeks of doing this. That just amazes me that we have been able to do this for 7 weeks. And today, we were going to talk to you a little bit about why you need an e-commerce site, why that's so important, and why it's important whether you have a product to sell or not. So that's basically where we are going to go from here. Anastasia just walked in. So it's going to be a good day for us. But I wanted to say something while we're waiting for Michael to come on, because he'll be here in just a minute. But while we're waiting, I wanted to say a little bit about my speaking and how this has gone. And I thought, I'm doing a pretty good job doing this. But then I've been doing a transcript, and I find I say a lot. So if you guys want to ping me and say, Ann, stop with the ums, or if you have questions about e-commerce sites, or if you're a little bit frightened about e-commerce sites, we're here to tell you that it doesn't have to be hard. So there he goes. Michael is here. Let's bring him up on the screen. Hey, Michael, how are you?
I'm great, Ann. How are you this morning?
I'm good. And you were such a good sport, because I literally said, hey, Michael, what do you think about being on the show tomorrow?
Yep.
So I wanted to talk about this, and part of it is that, as a shameless plug, we just started an online campus. But when I did that, I thought, if I'm going to talk about e-commerce, I've got to have somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, because I didn't build my site. I had somebody else build my site. Mm-hmm. Chrissy Ray, we've talked about that over at Pongo's Interactive.
Yep.
But you build sites, you do this all the time. So, yeah. So, and it's right now more important than ever.
Right. And we've actually been reaching out to a lot of our clients that didn't know they could do e-commerce, or thought that e-commerce had to be done in some grandiose Amazon-like way.
Right.
We've been working with a lot of them to just see where they fit, where they want to expand their services, what they want to do as far as what's the word of the month? Pivot.
Right. Exactly.
What they want to do, the pivot to actually get some traction online. And the nice thing about going online now, the pandemic has done something that's been kind of interesting when it comes to e-commerce. It has given everybody a chance to stop and look at their work on their businesses. And as part of that, people have said, hey, we need to pivot and we need to do something online, e-commerce. But what's nice about that is if you get it set up now while you have some time, it doesn't have to go away once the pandemic is over. This is something that can be an ongoing source of revenue for you and your company.
Right. And it is a nice fallback, right? So if we go back, if we hit the fall and what they're predicting happens again, and we have to go back into shelter in place, then at least okay, well, I've got this set up. But better than that, really, is that now we have an extra stream of income.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And so for us, a good example of that was we started the campus. We started the campus with the idea being, we've wanted to do this. This actually had not much to do with the pandemic, other than the fact that it brought to life that, hey, we really should have something like this. So we wanted to do it for a while. It's a digital campus where you can go take classes to learn how to use Facebook or Instagram or what's the latest in Google or whatever it is. We'll have a lot of classes there right now. I think we've only got 3 up there currently, but it's asmmcampus.com. So when I did that, I was like, it doesn't have to be what you think of, right? So I thought of things like, and I'm going to ask you to add to this if you want to, you can add services. If you have services to offer, people can purchase them right there. A good example is Chimney Tech, right? Chimney Tech does inspection. So you could schedule your inspection online, put it up there, have them pay for it, and not even have to talk to a person. Right? They can actually schedule it and do everything online. That would be a great way to add a service. You can add gift cards, and everybody needed gift cards during this time. And then you could do subscriptions, right? So subscription services like for you have hosting services, right?
Right. So we sell hosting hosting services. The other thing that we do with a lot of clients is we sell a block of hours in case somebody a lot of times people don't want to be billed after the fact, or they want to know what their budget is ahead of time. So we sell a block of hours. So we can put a block of hours on our website and say, 10 hours is, $1,000 or $1,350 or whatever we want to say. And people can have that and know, hey, I've got this many hours and this much money that I've already spent that I can use. So it's great for even prepaid services as well.
Exactly. Well, and you said prepaid services. So think about this. When we were in the middle of this, if you had created an e-commerce site, and we'll talk about, you don't have to create a full-blown big site, but if you had created a way for them to buy online, you could have said, how about you pay for your electric work that you're going to have done. You pay for your HVAC work that you're going to have done. Do that now so my business can keep going. And so you're actually, I didn't see a single salon. Actually, if anybody knows of a salon, please leave a comment. I didn't see a single salon that did this, but I swear to God, I would have paid hundreds of dollars for somebody to cut my hair before now, or to be on a list. And so I really think that the salons missed the boat. They could have had something where they said, look, go ahead and pay now, and whoever pays, you'll get the first chance at appointments, right? And they could have charged, $1 billion basically, and people would have said, yes, me.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I know that we've got some salon clients that have put some stuff. It's been kind of interesting. We had one that wanted to put stuff online quickly. And then they got tied up with figuring out how to run things, so it's not going as smoothly as possible. And then we've got another one that's called us and said, hey, we should probably do this at some point. And we're like, yeah, this is a great, like you said, it's a great alternate stream of income. You just have to make sure that you're prepared for what it entails. And for some businesses, that's a little, and some businesses, that's a lot. Yeah.
Well, that leads us to this. So what do people forget about? What are the things that they're like, oh, I'm not going to, I'm just going to put it up and then it's going to run.
Right. Well, the biggest thing that we've run into where people kind of forget about things is shipping is a big one. There's some others, you got to have a picture of the product. Most people have that, a description most people can handle. But when it comes to shipping in particular, that's where we start to get kind of into trouble. And that's what actually stopped the one salon we were working with from going fully online, is because we said, okay, for shipping, you need to know which vendor you're using. You have to have an account with that vendor. And what people don't really realize is you have to know the weight and dimensions if you're selling a physical product, so that UPS or FedEx or USPS, whatever service you're using, can calculate the correct shipping. Because if you just say, I'm shipping a lipstick, and you don't put anything in there, it assumes it's 80 pounds and it's 12 by 12 by 12 bucks and it's box, and it's $45 to ship a little lipstick case. And you're like, why did this not work? And I've had clients like be upset with me. Why is this not working? I'm like, well, did you put the weight and dimensions? No. Well, that's why it's not working. You really have to do all that. And that's just the one thing. That's the big thing everybody forgets. It's these little nuances like that.
Well, and that goes back to what we talked about yesterday. We talked about optimization, right? And optimization is important, but it really just means filling in all the blanks, right? If you're on Facebook, you can optimize your Facebook page by filling in all the blanks. If you're going to have an e-commerce site, fill in all the blanks. Make sure you know all the answers. Make sure you have all the things that people are going to need, right?
And one of the things that we do as a company is we work with a lot of people to help them use technology to improve their workflow. So this is a good example of that. Is we will have e-commerce customers that they're like, they put it out, we get through the shipping thing, they're like, great, we're selling. I'm like, okay, who's going to handle shipping the orders? I got to have a staff member to do that? Well, yeah. Right. It's starting to think about the workflow, and then you start talking to, okay, does the e-commerce system, if you get into more complicated scenarios, does it have to integrate with the sales system? Are they independent? How are you getting the accounting taken care of? There's all these nuances that go into it. You can almost think of, and it depends. We have some people that have very simple e-commerce sites, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But if you're getting into something where you're putting hundreds of products online, it's like you're creating your own little startup, and you need to think of it that way. Who's going to be the staff? What are the procedures? How are we handling the accounting, shipping again? It's almost like its own little startup.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is. So tell me though, you've done some simpler ones. You worked with Marcel over at Wine Key. Actually, first of all, tell us a little bit about Marcel, because I think that's important.
Marcel is one of our favorite clients, not to pick somebody out. She is a single mom. She was working for the federal government and she has this business called Wine Key Experience, which is a bartending service, does mobile bars and bartending. And her claim to fame is she does these really intricate, cool drinks with flames and ice cubes that you have to break that have alcohol in them. And she does this wild stuff. And she'll bend over backwards for anybody. We really appreciate her. But she decided to quit her job, and then the pandemic happened. She quit her government job, and the pandemic happened. So now she's stuck with, events lined up, but all of a sudden they're all canceled. So her stream of income completely went away.
Right.
And she's just started a business. So what we talked about with her and what we ended up doing was we took her website and simply added a sale page. It started off as a clearance page. She had a lot of inventory that she had bought for events she just needed to get rid of. So we put up a simple form that we help her manage that says, here's the items that are on sale this week. She actually figured out, sale, delivery, and what was required and how much it would cost her for delivery and stuff. But as far as getting it out there, we just created a simple 1-page form that you fill in, that hooks up to, I think it's Stripe, or maybe she does it through, we can do Stripe. I think she does Venmo or Cash or that type of stuff. She does it more manually, but we've hooked them up to Stripe before. We've hooked them up to PayPal. And the nice thing about that is it's a little bit more manual. So it's a little bit more work for us, but we swap out her inventory. It's become her sale page now. It's sale and clearance. So we swap out her sale page. We put one-offs on there. She's got some things that are $25,000 for a bottle. She's got some very interesting things. But the nice thing about this is you can, as your needs grow, we can change and customize it for you. So for example, she decided she wanted coupon codes. So we added coupon codes, and that's all handled right in the form, right on the website. And it's very simple. It's just a page of 10 or 15 items with your address information, phone number, email, and a coupon code, and it gives you a total.
Right.
And then you pay and you're done.
And that's it. It doesn't have to cost you $1 million. It doesn't have to take you a lot of time, but you do have to. I really believe you have to have at least a service or two, something that you can offer online, whether that's something that's an educational piece or whether it's an informational piece, whether it's a gift card, whatever it is. I think you have to. I'm thinking about Pretty Music Academy. So Pretty Music Academy is actually, Ruthie said something about, she's got a question. Let's pull this up. Has she been selling the items then? How successful has this been? Do you know?
Well, I was her first customer and bought 6 bottles of wine from her.
Right.
No, she's been very successful. And the reason, and she's got a market that's been really well, and she's got, and she's promoting herself and she has people like us that say, hey, if you're going to a virtual happy hour, call Marcel. You don't even have to leave your house. So she's actually been very good. I've talked to her kind of on a personal level. And I said, hey, how you doing? And she says, this has been the difference between losing the house and doing well. So, right. Keeping up with the bills. I won't say doing well, but yeah, it's really made a big difference for her to be able to get out there and be able to say, I've got these products online. It's made a tremendous difference in her financial outlook now versus when the pandemic first started.
Right. And I've talked to people who are like, I've sold 2 things a day, right? 2 items a day. And that doesn't sound like a lot, but it's like it paid the mortgage. It paid the mortgage. So there we go. Well,
the other thing, and this goes to you, it's like social media. You don't get 1 million views on your first post. You know, you have to get out there and get established. And once people know you're out there and established, then some things start to kind of have a life of their own. And e-commerce is no different. If they don't know you, if you build it, they will not come. They have to have Ann or somebody else tell them it's there.
Right. You have to be. And I'm going to make a confession today. So I own a digital marketing agency. For those who don't know, we own ASMM Digital Marketing. And I have said for years that the more you post, the better you'll do. I've said for years, the more content you have, the better you'll do. And I 100% believed it. But I didn't see it as effectively as I have since I started this video series, right? I started the video series. It's out there every day. We're doing things every day. We've got content that I'm then splitting up into different pieces, and I'm putting it out there in different ways. And our business has grown exponentially. Now, most people are afraid of that. And I will be honest, I've had a hard time talking people into they think once a day is a lot. If I do once a day, that's a lot. I'm going to bug people, aren't I? We are posting over on Twitter in particular. We're posting between 10 and 20 times a day right now on Twitter. And we are seeing really big results from that. We're posting somebody told me the other day, they're like, I can't come on Facebook without seeing you. I was like, that's awesome.
That's good.
But it does make a difference to put yourself out there. And honestly, in this environment, I know we're going off of the e-commerce site, but we're really not, because actually, I can't find it, but there you go. Ruthie said more. She said, that's good. A lot of business owners think that setting it up is the hardest part, but then you have to market it. If you're not marketing it, if you're not out there showing people what you've got, it's very hard to do. So, but also at the same time, if you're marketing and you've got nothing they can buy, that they can buy right now, that's harder too. Mm-hmm. Right? So having something that they can click on and they can buy right now is so important. Even if it's just a consultation, right? You could do website consultations.
Right.
Maybe it's free, but it's still something. E-commerce doesn't necessarily mean they have to buy it. It just means they have to set it up. Right. So I was thinking earlier about restaurants, right? Restaurants right now are at 50% capacity. Maybe they should start doing their online. Maybe they should start doing an online waiting list, right? Yeah. And there are ways to do that. So, yeah.
Well, and I think this all ties together. This is one of the reasons why I love working with you, is because it's one big ecosystem. People need to understand that, on Facebook, once a day might be enough, but on Twitter, 20 times a day might be too little. I mean, different platforms have different rules, but you need to pick the right content in the right frequency on the right platform, which is what Ann does, in order to get them to the website so that it's easy to find the e-commerce, and the e-commerce works effectively. That's my job. So that the business owner can make sure that the product is delivered in a timely fashion. That's the product. That's the owner's job. So it's really a big collaborative effort to get this working well. And a lot of people I've talked to don't understand that. Hey, I put up e-commerce and nobody's buying. Why? How are you marketing it? I'm not.
Exactly. Exactly. So I want to talk about the simplest way you could do that. And then I want to come back and talk about why I love working with Able Spark, because it goes back to that marketing piece. So I do want to talk about the simplest way. And I want to talk about Pretty Music Academy. So we talked about earlier, a really cool business. Wine Key Experience is a really cool business. Pretty Music Academy is one of the coolest businesses I've ever seen. They don't just give lessons, and they don't just put together bands. They actually put together bands that they really promote. So my son, I was just looking at a video last night of my son playing at the Anne Arundel County Fairground. And somebody took this video, or actually it's a photo, from the very back of the shed, because it was in the shed. And the very back of the shed, they took the video, and you can see everybody's got their cameras up in the air. They all have their cameras up in the air filming. And so it's so cool. I'm like, that's my kid on the other end of those cameras, right? That's awesome. But that's what Pretty Music Academy's done. And it's so cool. But what they had to do is they had to take everything online. And they did it very simply. They're doing it using a bunch of different tools, but the payment part, they literally put up a PayPal link. Yep. They're like, here, PayPal link, buy it, right? So it doesn't have to, when I see an e-commerce site, it doesn't have to be really difficult. There are a lot of ways to do it, but you just have to keep encouraging people. I think it's the ultimate way of saying, I'm going to ask for the sell. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm asking for the sale. I'm asking for it. Do you want to buy it? Right. So you've got to put something out there for them for that.
Yeah, and just let me add to your point. There's a lot of different ways to do e-commerce. There are sites that are set up for doing e-commerce yourself. There's Shopify. We use one a lot called BigCommerce. You can set up WooCommerce in WordPress, which is what I think you did, Ann. You can do simple forms. You can just, if you know how to, just put individual product links with payments from PayPal right on a page. I mean, there are all sorts of different levels of doing e-commerce. So, one of the things that's important when you start is don't think you have to be Amazon.
Right.
Let's pick the right tool for where you're at in your journey, and make sure that tool will walk with you on your journey, so that you're not switching tools every 10 minutes.
Exactly. Yeah, no, absolutely. I want to pull Mandy's comment up here for a minute. Mandy said, thanks, Ruthie. It's finding the time and getting it done. You just need to put it on the calendar and commit. And I want to say something real quick, because I have a little bit of a crush on Pat Flynn. I don't know if you know Pat Flynn, but he does oh my gosh, I'm going to forget the name of it. He's got a podcast that I love that I cannot for the life of me remember the name of, but I'll think of it. Anyway, he said something the other day. He said, you have to be a disaster before you can be a master.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, oh my God, that's absolutely true. So if all you can do is put a link up, then put the link up.
Mm-hmm.
Do something. Take that first step. And I'm one to talk. It took me 2 years to finally say, you know what? Yes, we're going to start this. We're going to start this thing, because people keep asking me questions that I'm answering over and over again. And I could start a campus where I actually give them in-depth information without it being like that. So Steve is on here. He said you just started using LinkedIn. LinkedIn is really, really helpful in everything you do for social media, especially if you're a business-to-business company, right?
Oh, yeah.
So I do want to go back and say why I like working with AbleSpark. You guys are different. So I talked to somebody this morning. They said, I need a website company. But she said, I've been burned over and over again, because I work with a website company. They don't put on the Google Analytics. They don't do any of that. And I can't figure out why my client's not ranking. And come to find out, nobody's doing anything on the back end. And you guys make sure that kind of thing is taken care of. That's an important part of this, right?
Right. Yeah. So one of the things that we do when we build websites is that we kind of take a holistic approach. We kind of think of, if this was our website, how would we want it? What would we want it to do? And the biggest thing that I've seen with a lot of website developers is they build the site, and then they go, okay, bye, it's all you. And we don't do that. I mean, we're set up to do support. We're set up to help. We were helping somebody put a brand new what our COVID plan is video on their website this morning, because they're getting ready to reopen with social distancing. So yeah, we're here to support and make sure that it's done correctly. Things as simple as and trying to, one of the things we're trying to do, and we're using Ann to help this a little bit. Or a lot actually, is starting to educate our clients on things that, we kind of take for granted, but we know that the rest of the world doesn't, like the fact that Google is going to mobile first indexing come September. So if your website, it doesn't look good on mobile, it won't rank well, your rank will change. Things like there's been some issues with American with Disabilities Act lawsuits, and we're actually getting some traction on doing ADA website work. So there's things like that are coming up in the pipe that people just don't realize that, they may not affect the little guy now, but eventually it's going to roll downhill and it's going to be there. So we want to make sure that our clients are informed, in addition to having a really good quality product.
Right. No, I think it's so important. And what you were just saying is so much changes, but that mobile ready, I think I said this yesterday, the mobile ready sites, I literally have to take a breath before I can talk to somebody if their website's not mobile ready, because you've got to do that. It's part of what you have to do it. Otherwise, you're not going to rank. I'm going to answer 2 questions that were on my mind. First of all, Chrissy answered. Chrissy over at Pongos Interactive. She's the one who built my site. The Member Press. It's a Member Press e-commerce site. So she's done a brilliant job.
Okay. Cool.
And the reason I used her, she was one of the biggest pivots I've ever seen. She has 10,000 square foot space where she does camps, basically classes for kids, really cool science STEM classes.
STEM program. She has a STEM. Yeah. She has her own STEM program. Yeah, it's great. It's fantastic.
But it was all in person, and she pivoted in a way that was really cool to watch, where she's offering these things online for the kids. My favorite, I think, Michael, you have talked about Minecraft before.
Yeah.
There's a Minecraft club with the kids, which I think is really fun. And she's there to make sure, everybody's safe. It's her own place, so she knows no strangers are getting in. So it's really cool. And then I had to answer my own question, which is Pat Flynn is from Smart Passive Income.
Oh, cool.
Smart Passive Income. It made me crazy. I'm like, I listen to him every day. So how I didn't remember that, I do not know.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So let's go one more thing, because I want to go back. We talked yesterday about optimization, and I want to say, how does Google play into this? And you said a couple of things. You said the mobile ready sites.
Right.
You said there was another thing you mentioned.
Well, what did I mention?
I remember. I know Google Analytics plays into it.
Yeah. So Google. It's funny because we were actually looking at there's some browser statistics that you can look at, and internet statistics that are available on the web, and we were looking at some of them, like the fact that mobile is almost 60% of all views are done through mobile. That Chrome is the most popular web browser. What sizes screens are most popular in the U.S. and across the world. We're doing this to kind of do some research to help advise our clients. And one of the things that we clicked on was how many people used Google versus the other search engines. Google is like 96% of all searches are done through Google.
Right.
And people don't. I mean, we used to say, oh, you got to optimize for Yahoo and Bing. I don't even worry about those anymore. They're kind of secondary.
I agree. It really, they are very, actually, secondary by a lot, right?
So yeah, big time.
So
Google's just shy of being a monopoly. They have enough competition that they're not a monopoly.
Right.
But when it comes to Google, things that we will set up and work with our clients on is Google Analytics, and kind of look at what pages are they getting hits on, which ones do they need to maybe increase. If they're setting up a landing page, are they getting the conversion that they need on it? We can do some stuff with Google. It used to be called Google Webmaster Tools. I don't remember if it's called something different now. They change names about every year just to confuse people.
Right.
But we use Google Webmaster Tools in addition to Google Analytics, because that gives us some key into the search and what's going on. And then we just make sure that when we're setting them up, we're not an SEO company per se, but we believe that if you set up your SEO right to begin with, you may not need one. So we look at the descriptions that are going to be shown on Google and that stuff. And all of that plays into how it's going to be shown. And the thing that people need to understand is Google will look at your website. It'll grab images. It'll grab PDFs. It'll grab the regular content. It'll grab product information and throw product information up there.
Right. So yeah, I actually have two stories. I want to give you the story first, because you were talking about what you do for Google Analytics and why it matters what you're ranking for. Right. What does it matter if they're coming to my website? That's awesome. Right. I'm going to give you an example of why it might not necessarily be awesome. So my father-in-law owns Brennan Title Company. Brennan Title opened a shop, an office in DC. And they called me and they said, oh my God, our phone won't stop ringing. I was like, that's great. And they're like, no, we're ranking for tags and title. So people are angry when they call and they're like, no, that's not what we do. We're a title company. Right. I need to do my car title. No, that's not what we do. And so they're answering these phone calls like mad, because that's what they're ranking for.
Right.
Right. So it matters what you're ranking for. And you need to know that. You need to know what's happening on your site and why these things are happening to you. So you want to make sure, and having somebody like Abel Spark behind you is really important. I'm going to go back. Chrissy, remind me to say something about ADA, because Chrissy just made a comment. But I want to tell you how I think Google plays into it. Google plays into it. If you have an e-commerce site, you can also put links, not even links, your products up on Google, in Google My Business. You can put them right in there. And I'm having people make several $100s a day which doesn't sound like a lot, but if they've got several streams of income, it is a lot, because they've put their items on Google. So it's a great place to put them. If you already have a site that they can come back to and purchase it right away, put them on Google to lead them back to that site. It really does make a huge difference.
Well, and the one thing that I keep thinking about is what people should look at is don't look at it as a sale. These one-time sales oftentimes lead to long-term clients and recurring revenue. So that's kind of one way to look at it. There are so many ways that you can go up and say, well, I'm going to get a couple of, like the lipstick example. Well, I'm going to sell a stick of lipstick. Who cares? Well, that lipstick might turn into shampoo, which might turn into a salon visit, which might turn into all sorts of things. So, that first initial touch is a great way to get on somebody's mind and create a repeat customer.
Exactly, which actually is why we should talk about, and we haven't talked about, user experience.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and that matters. So it's not that, you guys know me. If you've listened to the show at all, you know that I say, hey, we would love to work with you. We'd love you to call us and do your social media, but there's a lot you can do yourself, right? Mm-hmm. I don't believe you should do your own e-commerce site. I didn't do my own e-commerce site. I had Chrissy do it. I could have probably figured that out. I could have done that. I've built them for other people. I know I could have done it. However, if I do it, I know I'm going to miss things. And having Chrissy do it, she sees from the outside in. And that's what you want. Somebody who can see from the outside in and say, hey, Ann, I know what you were trying to say here, but you didn't say it because it's in your own head. You know, but you need to say more.
Well, and the other thing is that a lot of times, and I know Chrissy is a great example of this. I've talked to her quite a bit about different things, and love her. She's great. It's making sure that the way you think is not necessarily the way everybody thinks.
Right.
So it's what do you want to highlight first? How are people getting to different things? And I've seen people that have had their products 4 and 5 links deep, and they're like, why is nobody buying anything? I'm like, user experience. People aren't going to click more than twice, and then they're done.
Exactly.
They want to get.
Oh, Amazon Prime that, by the way.
Pardon?
How many times somebody needs to tell Amazon Prime Video this? How many times do you have to click to say, yes, I want to watch that. I just do.
Yes. Really, I've said yes. Really, I've said yes.
I did. I promise. I said yes. So anyway, all right. Can you do me one more favor, Michael, and tell me, because Chrissy did mention, she said what you were talking about that was something we didn't expand on was ADA. Can you explain what this is all about?
So the American with Disabilities Act is everybody's familiar with that. You have to have handicapped spaces in parking lots. You have to have handicapped accessible ramps, handicapped accessible bathrooms. It controls the spacing between tables in some places to make sure that your establishment is good for is accessible for people with disabilities.
Right.
What has happened in the past couple of years is that, and I won't go into a lot of detail, just say there's a lot of patchwork as to how it's applied. But there have been some lawsuits from people with disabilities using the internet that say, for example, hey, Target, you're subject to the American with Disabilities Act. Why is your website doesn't work for the visually impaired? Why? And there have been lawsuits about that. And the courts, depending on where what part of the country you are, the courts have actually ruled in different ways. So it's kind of a patchwork. Right. But so what we're doing with people is we've got some clients that are aware of this, that are in legal and insurance, and some others that we are actually setting up their websites using some standards that are on the web. There's nothing from the government that says a compliant site does this. Right. But there are standard rules for accessibility that everybody said, hey, if you follow these rules, the chances of you being found not compliant are slim to nil. So we've been actually either converting existing websites or creating websites from the ground up as ADA, and I think it's going to go the same way that mobile responsiveness was. You know, at first when when everybody started on cell phones and smartphones, and we needed websites to appear on cell phones, it was this: not everybody did it, and it wasn't a thing that mattered. And I think it's eventually, I don't know how long it's going to take, but eventually it's going to go the same way. You're going to have at least some of these ADA accessibility measures in place, if not all of them. So it's one of those things to just kind of keep in the back of your mind.
Well, and this is, Michael, why, I was just thinking about how we work, right? How we work together. You're a client. I'm a client. We both work with each other in different ways. And you pull all these other people in who are experts. You work with Kat Harvey. There's people who you pull into your mix because everything changes. I was just talking to Suzanne Ratty, and she says she tells people when she gives them some hints on how to use Facebook, and she says, but this is really, I can only guarantee it's good for about 24 hours because it's going to change, right?
Yeah.
And so you need people on your side who are going to help you when it changes.
And I would say, honestly, you need to pick the right tool for the job.
Right.
And that can be different people at different times. I mean, Chrissy does fantastic work. She did your site in MemberPress. I think that's great. It's a wonderful site. We build software and other things. So it's just a matter of finding the right tool. Like we've told people, we're not SEO experts. You don't want me to write your content. You do want me to program a mobile app for you, or a web-based CRM, or a website. But for the other things, even graphics, we can do some in-house, but a lot of that will ship out to partners that we've worked with for years.
Right.
Because they know more and do a better job, and it's much more efficient and cost effective for these people to do it. So we don't believe that we have to do everything in-house. And we tell people up front, we have I think last I checked, we have about 25 different partners that we refer out to and or use on different jobs. And we're very transparent about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think it's important because you have to have, a good example. We brought in a young writer a while ago, and I said to him, hey, I want you to look at this website. I'm not going to tell you anything about it. Just look at the website. Let me know what you think. And he looked at it. He spent hours, and he comes back to me and he says, what is it? I'm like, so we missed the spot. We missed the point. No, he had no clue what the person was selling.
Right.
That's you've got to have people who will be honest with you. And sometimes that means having somebody outside of your organization because you're knee deep in it. You're like, of course, this is what it is.
Right.
And
you have to be, whether it's social media that you've been doing yourself or an e-commerce platform you've been trying to do, you have to be open to take the credit or take criticism. Criticism, and be responsive and be understand that it's constructive. It's not hurtful. I mean, we're in the process of launching a new website, and we had Kat Harvey do the content for it. And there was some content that was near and dear to my heart that she rewrote. And I realized after she rewrote it, it was near and dear to my heart because I understood it, not because the rest of the world really knew what I was talking about. So, it's again, finding the right person, the right tool for the job, whether that's social media, writing, or e-commerce. Find the person that's going to do what you need in the way that you need it. And I think kind of most importantly, that you can get along with.
Right. Well, and so I'm going to quote Stephen King. Stephen King says, sometimes you got to kill your little darlings. And I am really good these days at killing my little darlings. Somebody will say, I will fall in love with something I've said or something I've written. And then somebody will say, yeah, that's not good. I'm like, okay, well, that's it. That guy's gone, right?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So I want to say something. The other day, I finally started putting show notes in. So we will have show notes in. You can find out some of these things we talked about. We'll give you a link to Kat Harvey. I'll actually put a link to Stephen King's On Writing, which I think is one of the best writing books. We'll put a link to Pretty Music Academy and Marcel over at Wine Experience. I'll put a link to Able Spark, so you have that. And you can, if you need a website, I'll also put one to Pongo's Interactive, because there's enough business to go around, right?
Yep.
I also want to please encourage you to Oh, look, I've got a comment. I want to encourage you to subscribe to YouTube because I think that I am going to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm only going to get there with your help. So please subscribe to our YouTube channel. That would be helpful. I love this, Kurt. You just found our SEO partner. Tune in Wednesday to learn about Brian Lobig. So he's going to be on the show, my show on Wednesday. Thank you. Nice little plug there for me and for him. Thank you, Kurt. Kurt's the best. He really is. So, all right. So one more time, I want to tell you about ASMM Campus, asmmcampus.com. You can get a free membership. So sign up, and then you'll get notifications when we put up a new free video. And we are going to do that on a regular basis. Or you can get a paid membership, and we're going to have big, long courses. So the first one that's up there right now is Social Media 101, Social Media Marketing 101. It's 19 videos long, hours long of content. Really great stuff for small businesses. So do that. We have Sean Heritage coming up Monday. I'm going to tell you a secret about Sean Heritage. He was my first grown-up neighbor, lived next door to me. He's the author of Connecting the Dots, and he was in the Navy. Now he's out, but he's done some really amazing stuff, and he's going to talk about leadership. And if you get a chance to check out his blog in the meantime, Connecting the Dots, I should write that down as my show note, right? Check out Connecting the Dots ahead of time because I think you'll really like them. And Michael, I cannot thank you enough. I'm like throwing you under the bus here. Come on the show with me. I don't know what we're going to talk about, but it's going to be fun.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. Thank you so much for having me on. It's I love doing these, and you do such a great job at them. Thank you for starting this and reaching out and really showcasing some of our local businesses. I think that's very important, and I can't thank you enough for what you're doing for me and the community.
Well, thank you. Yeah, it's been fun. It's been fun. And now we're pulling people in from all over the country, which is really cool because I think we can showcase them, but also give these lessons that people haven't thought about. Sometimes they'll be, like leadership. That's a little bit different than website building. But it's something that as a small business owner, you've got to think about what kind of leader are you, So I'm glad we did it. It was in a very organic way that we started the show, I think. So,
It was good. It was good. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, guys, I'll see you Monday. Bye-bye.